And here we go. Day 6 of the Freedom Queen Challenge. Today is all about activating your pathway. And what a wonderful, splendid 5 days it has been together. We've done very power-packed, punchy, soul activating moves in these past 6 days that have it's been wonderful to hear, you know, what has become alive for you and what has moved. And, you know, just it's incredible what can be achieved in 5 to 10 minutes a day, right? So just let's recap. Just in the past 5 days, we have crowned the vision, broken old beliefs, embodied the frequency, and aligned with wealth, right? Really, really powerful. If you haven't gone back and done those days, start at the beginning, start at day 1, and allow yourself to walk through this journey and really, you know, let it sink in, let it transform, and have yourself a beautiful experience. So here we come to day 6, and today's theme is really all about being open. Being open now that the groundwork has been done, being open to receive the next step, right? Because it's all good and well to get all of those other pieces, but then we have to know how to move forward, right? Now that I know what I want, now that I know what I'm visioning, now that I know what I'm aligning with and I'm feeling, what is the pathway? Now comes with the how, right? How do I do that? How do I take those next steps? What does that actually look like? And I'll share with you a little story. Well, it's not that little, but a story that happened a couple of years ago now where I was struck by divine intervention, right? This was a time when I was open to receiving the next step on my journey, even though I wasn't consciously asking for it. Subconsciously, I had opened myself to the universe and divine intervention struck, presented me with something completely different that I'd never heard of before, that I never even knew about, and put that in front of me to say, here's a different way. Here's a different way. Have you ever considered this? Which I hadn't at that point, because I'd been like a horse with my blinders on for a good 10 years, building what I thought was going to be my pathway to ultimate freedom with my family. It was in complete soul alignment. It was, you know, a beautiful soul journey. I, you know, went from my own experiences and spiritual experiences and just naturally felt that that was the area to deepen in and that was the area to serve and share from, right? Because that was my authentic journey. Wonderful. That's what so many of us do, and that's how I naturally fell into counseling, into coaching, into teaching, into speaking, into all of those different things. Wonderful. This was very much a pathway of following the next breadcrumbs as the universe opened them up, right? And leading forward and leading through spirit. And so when this next thing presented, which radically shifted for me the how piece, I suddenly saw that there was a different pathway in how things could be done. Something that was more in alignment in terms of ease, still value driven, still soul mission driven, but it made more sense, right, than what I had been doing for so long, and in many ways banging my head against a wall. But now presented with a different way where things were even more in alignment, even more ease-filled, and made even more sense to create even more abundance, right? So of course, why wouldn't I look at that? And I did, and I jumped all in, and end of story. And so what is that thing for you? Do you actually have that pathway in front of you? Do you know what that is? Or are you still finding yourself, you know, you're in alignment with certain things, you know what you want, but there's a big gap, right? There's a big unknown gap between where you are and where you ultimately see yourself, where you can be, where you want to be. And you don't quite know what the how piece is in between. And of course, you can be open to the invitations of the universe and the golden breadcrumbs that, you know, pave the way, and you take one step, one step, one step, one step. But what if there was a way where it was all actually provided for you, right? So if you know what that is, what does it look like, right? And what are your next steps in that pathway? And if you don't know what that is. Because of course there are a million ways to create a pathway, right? A million ways. Once we know what we want and where we're going, there's a million different ways to craft that. So if you know what that is, brilliant. If you have an inkling of what that is and you want to lean into it, great, do that. Do your due diligence. Say yes to that. Lean in, experiment, and feel it. And if you have no idea what that is, or if you already said yes to something, but then you realized it wasn't quite the thing and it didn't quite tick all the boxes, which is exactly what happened to me after a good long 10 years, then let's have a conversation. We can also chat about a different pathway. I'd love to share with you the pathway that I am on, that I have discovered, that set all of that up for me. But of course it's not for everyone, and we each have to find that pathway, right? We each have to find that one that is aligned with our values, that creates greater ease, that makes our soul in sync, in flow with life, right? But that also makes sense. That it has to make sense, right? Particularly in this stage, this economy, this world that is so crazy in so many different ways, and you know, the financial nooses are tightening in so many different ways too, cost of living going up, and all of the pieces, right? All of the pieces considered in terms of what it takes to live not just a life that you're surviving in on this planet at this time. Who wants that, right? And most people are just barely hanging in there by a thread. We want to thrive, right? You don't just want to survive. You actually want something that's going to make you happy on the inside and that makes you feel amazing on the outside as well, right? Whole life, whole integration of all of that together. So I'd love to hear what that pathway is for you. If you know what that is and you're clear on it, amazing. And if you don't, then let's have that conversation as well. I'd love to dig deeper into that with you and see what that could look like for you. So activate your pathway today, Queen, today. Let yourself be open to receiving the next steps on your pathway. Speak tomorrow.